Welcome back. All right. As I continue on with season previews, we're wrapping them up today, actually. We're going to talk about the Dallas Stars. Dallas is a team that has good scoring. At least they project to have good scoring, good defense, good goaltending. Everybody's voting for them as, probably top two in the division. But I do think that for me, my concern with Dallas would be, was last year their best chance? Is this team going to be as good this year as last year? And that's the one concern I have, which part of this is all the rumors about Robertson. And so when Dallas fans are like, well, Robertson didn't produce enough last year and he wasn't good enough. He had 80 points in 82 games. That's pretty good. The problem is if you trade Robertson, you need to replace the points. And there aren't very many teams out there willing to trade an 80-point forward right now, nor might they be willing to pick up Robertson, who's on a, he's his contract comes to an end this year. He's due for a huge raise. So I don't think trading him is that easy for a team that wants to remain in cup contention. So I think he's going to be there once we get to the start of the regular season. Robertson, Hintz, and Rantanen, will they have them all in the same line? Rope Hintz is an excellent first-line center. Rantanen's an excellent forward. But might they be better off to spread the wealth, right? Will they all play together? We'll see. Then you've got Ben. I've made a change to the lineup that's on Puckpedia here. I think Johnston ends up second line. They project Duchesne as the second line center. Duchesne was their number one scorer, but he struggled in the playoffs. I understand Johnston had his struggles in the playoffs as well, but Wyatt Johnston is a young forward. His best days are ahead of him. For Duchesne, you have to be concerned. Not only that, but Ben, Duchesne, and Sagan as the second line. It's an old line. You combine the ages of those three, I'm pretty sure you'd get about 100. And so that's got to be at least some concern. I think you break that up. So probably Ben, Johnston, and Sagan. That would leave your bottom six: Steele, Duchesne, and Bourque. Maverick Bourque's the one I've listed as the one to watch. Maverick Bourque is a very good young forward who's going to get every opportunity to score a little bit more this year. Beck, Foxa, and Blackwell being the depth on that forward group as well. Radek Foxa returning after playing in St. Louis for a bit there. Now you look at the depth up front. So the names in green here. Bastian. So they've added Bastian from New Jersey. I would imagine that he'll switch out with Blackwell or Beck. Maybe he ends up replacing Beck in the lineup at points. Then you got Hritskovian. There we go. It's a name that's difficult. This is like my seventh take. So Hritskovian's the name that I always have these fears about because it doesn't look like it sounds. Then you got Lind, Wheatcroft, McDonald, Stranges, Ertl, Semenov, Arcuri, and Scott. Good forward depth, not fantastic forward depth. If Dallas runs into numerous injuries up front, depending on who gets hurt, there is, I would think, some concern about how that would affect them going forward. Basically, what I'm saying is Dallas may not have as much depth as some of the other contending teams, and that can show up when you get into injury problems as the season rolls on. Their blue line is solid. This is a good blue line. Lindell, Heiskanen. We know what Heiskanen can do. They want a full season out of him. Harley came into his own this past season in part because Heiskanen was out, so Harley had to jump into that spot. Lyubushkin, Bichel. We know Bichel's going to be a very good player from here going forward. And Lundqvist, who's stuck with it. Even though Dallas at times didn't necessarily have a lot of faith with him, Lundqvist is still here. Then you look at the depth, and Kolyachonok. So Kolyachonok joins the team. I'd be surprised if he ends up in the list of healthy scratches. There's the terminology. Maybe Lundqvist ends up being the number 7 and Kolyachonok jumps in there. Capo Bianco, we know he can play here and there in your third pairing. Shouldn't be a problem. Kyrou, Bertucci, White, Chris, Punnett, and Taylor rounding out the depth on the blue line. Bertucci's considered to be a good prospect. Probably not ready yet. But Dallas is definitely a team that will be relying on that blue line, I think, a lot. And then there's the goaltending. The one area that you do not have a question mark with Dallas is goaltending. Ottinger and DeSmith both had good years. DeSmith had a very good year, I thought, and it's back-to-back good years now for Casey DeSmith. So Dallas has got to be pretty confident in their goaltending. Then at the AHL level, Poirier, who helped them get to as far as they did in the playoffs in Texas this past spring before being eliminated by Abbotsford. So there you go. And Cross rounding out the depth in goal for the Dallas Stars at this point going into this season. But I don't anticipate a third goaltender getting into a game unless there's some kind of long-term injury, and I'd rather not see that. So I'm voting no on long-term injuries. I'm doing that for most teams this year, to be honest. Now, the MVP, I listed as Hintz, because I think for this team to really and truly finish first in the West and maybe go on a Stanley Cup final run and maybe win one, I think Roope Hintz is going to be a key guy for them. As I mentioned, the one to watch is Maverick Bourque, so we'll see how many goals he gets, but he had a good rookie season. If he does end up playing with Duchesne, like this could be a very good third line and a very good top nine overall. Cap space? No. $405,084 in cap space for the Dallas Stars. They're not a team that has cap space now. They probably won't have any next summer either. It's one of those prices you pay for being a really good team. And the Rantanen contract's part of that. So while I was excited they got Rantanen had a very good run in the playoffs, especially that second round. I do worry that maybe that contract ends up costing him a little bit of depth. Maybe that's what we're seeing here as well. Now, the channel vote, very optimistic. 69%, laugh away, 69% vote them first or second, 26% vote them third or fourth, and 2% each for fifth or sixth, as well as seventh and eighth. So the fact that only 4% of the vote has them outside the top four means the expectations are very high for Dallas. The schedule, it gets tough at times here. So 6 out of 11 are at home in October. 8 out of 15 are away from home in November. So it's not too bad. That's 26 games for the first 2 months. December, half of the games are at home and half of the games are on the road. So 7 home, 7 away. And then January. January is the big month. And if you follow Red Letter Media, do you remember it's January? Anyways, 11 out of 15 games are away from home. So, yeah, January is going to be a potentially rough month, or we'll be talking about how great a month it is, because after that, well, the schedule still has its rough parts. February, with the Olympic break in there, 4 out of 4 games are at home. Every game is at home. And then, in March, 8 out of 16 are at home. So they have 16-game month, 8 and 8. 8 home, 8 away. And then April, the reward for that very busy month of March, they have 5 out of 7 games at home. So there's the possibility that Dallas could struggle in January and have a nice little run in April to end up finishing first in the division. That's the kind of thing that can happen with a schedule like that. So we'll see how it ends up turning out. Now, Jim Nill gets a lot of credit as the best GM in the game. I think that, yes, you could argue Jim Nill as one of the best, but Bill Zito exists. So that's where I would put it, is I'd have Nill and Zito pretty much, I want to say neck and neck, but Zito's got a couple of cup rings. So there's that. The coach this year is Glenn Gulutzan, and my previous experiences watching Gulutzan as head coach, he's a good coach. Is he a coach that can get your team to win in the playoffs? That's where I think there's a question. And so it's an interesting hire. I think Pete DeBoer, his exit was predictable after what was said about Ottinger. Because here's the thing. If you're going to say, well, Ottinger was bad against the Oilers, so was everybody else. That series against the Oilers, the whole team struggled. So to go, well, it was the goalie's fault, there's definitely some blame to go around. So, looking at their record over the last 4 seasons, so back to 21-22, they are 5th. 195 wins, 98 regulation losses, and 35 losses in overtime or shootouts. Their top 5 scorers over that 4-year period: Robertson, 320 games played, 151 goals, 197 assists, 348 points. Those numbers are very good. Hintz, 309 games, 132 goals, 147 assists for 279 points. Ben, 326 games played, 88 goals, 145 assists, 233 points. Ben, not the forward that he was 5, 6, 7, especially 10 years ago, but still can be productive at times. Pavelski, who of course is retired, 246 games, 82 goals, 143 assists, 225 points. Man, did they miss Pavelski. Heiskanen, 270 games, 30 goals, 158 assists, 188 points. Just thinking, if Pavelski was on this team, if he was on like a team-friendly $1 million contract, I understand that would put him over the cap. They'd have to move somebody out, but that depth chart would look ridiculous if Pavelski was still around. But aging is a thing. The one prospect that's still, by my count, unsigned Of note, Emil Hemming. Dallas, though, having been a good team for a while, it makes sense that their prospect pool isn't necessarily as deep as some of the other teams in the National Hockey League. Their record this past season, I need to update this. That has not been updated. All right, that's better. 50, 26, and 6 is the record for Dallas this past season. Duchesne led them in scoring, 82 games, 30 goals, 52 assists for 82 points. Jason Robertson, 82 games, 35 goals, 45 assists for 80 points. Wyatt Johnston, 82 games, 33 goals, 38 assists for 71 points. Rope Hintz, 76 games, 28 goals, 39 assists for 67 points. And Thomas Harley, 78 games, 16 goals, 34 assists for 50 points. Harley has a bomb from the point, has very good instincts offensively, and has shown himself to be pretty good on a pretty big stage. He has shown that he is as good as almost any other defenseman in the league. Now, the goaltending numbers, good. Ottinger, 36, 18, and 4, 909 save percentage to Smith, mildly better. 14, 8, and 2 with a 915 save percentage. So, once again, goaltending the least of the concerns for the Dallas Stars. Looking at the playoffs the last 5 years, 2021 they did not qualify. So that was the year after they went all the way to the final. They didn't make the playoffs in 21. 2022 they lost in the first round against Calgary in 7 games. That was the series that made Ottinger kind of a folk hero, of course. 2023 in the conference final they lost to Vegas in 6. 2024 they lost in the conference final against Edmonton in 6. 2025 they lost in the conference final against Edmonton in 5. So Edmonton's been the issue for them the last 2 springs, and conference finals have been an issue for them 3 straight years. So for Dallas, this does mean there's expectations that are pretty high. It also means that going to a conference final is no longer going to be viewed as good enough. They have to be a Stanley Cup finalist to have shown any progression from previous seasons. It would help them if they stayed away from Edmonton, but the odds of Edmonton still being the team that comes out of the Pacific Division, I mean, the odds aren't bad. It very well could be Vegas. The problem is it's Vegas that beat them back in 2023. So Dallas just needs to figure out how to get over the hump in those situations. Looking at the numbers from this past season, their power play was 17th at an even 22%. Their penalty kill was 4th at 82%. So combined, that's 104. That's not bad. Their goals for, they were 3rd in the league at 3.35 goals per game. Goals against, they were 6th at 2.71 goals against per game. I'm always surprised when Dallas isn't top 3, to be honest. I feel like defensively and in net, they're very, very well put together, so they should be top 3, I would think, defensively. We'll see if that happens this season. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let me know your thoughts. I do think that Dallas, I have some nerves about Dallas this year I didn't have last year. I do wonder if they're going to have the same kind of season they did last year, if we're going to see a little bit of regression. We'll find out soon enough. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.